Welcome to a new episode of Your Stories. I'm Danny Fagan, and this is my TMS journey. Today, I have a really cool interview with a lady that I have met through the TMS community quite a while ago now. She's another British lady spreading the message of mind body medicine. I first heard about her on Eddie Lindenstein's podcast. I'm pretty sure it was Eddie's podcast, yeah. And since then, I reached out to her and we've just kept in contact. And she's got a really great story of recovery that I thought would be brilliant to share with you guys. So her name is Catherine, and I will let her in to tell her story. And she can tell you in her own words. Yay! Welcome, Catherine.
Hi, Danny. Thank you for inviting me on.
That's all right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, great.
Good.
No more glitches. No more technical glitches.
None of that. No, I've had
So I just did a really brief intro to how I found out about you on Eddie's podcast, but I haven't let anybody know really anything about your own story, your own journey. So just take us back a little bit to kind of, I guess, right to the beginning, where you where you started to get symptoms, or what sort of age you were, and how that started off for you, and then we can. Actually, I forgot to say, you're joining us from France, aren't you? You are British, but you live in France, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
So,
South of France, yeah.
So just let us know in English, preferably, where it started for you, and we'll just take the conversation with them, just see where it goes.
Yeah, all right then. So it's funny because you have so many. Well, like a lot of people with TMS, I think we all suffer from. It's never just one thing, is it? So I'm thinking,
right.
Where did it sort of really start? But
yeah.
So I'd quick look back, October 2015, around about there. I started getting hip pain,
right.
Particularly on one side, left-hand side, which turned out to be sort of funny thing, because then I ended up years later finding out about people who were only experiencing pain down one side. I thought that's a curious thing about TMS often.
Yeah.
So it was quite a bit of a left-hand side thing for me, but it started off with hip pain, to the point where it was very painful to walk up and down stairs. And so I eventually went to doctors because I'm a runner, and running is really important to me, and it was stopping me from running. So I went to doctors, and without any didn't do any tests on me or anything, he just sort of looked at me and said, arthritis.
Oh, great.
Yeah, which was lovely. And at that point I was like 42 then, 47 now.
Okay.
42, and I thought, seems a bit young. It's sort of one of those things you associate with people a little bit older.
Yeah.
But he knew I was a runner. And so, everyone's got this sort of preconceived idea that if you were a runner, you're going to get knee problems, hip problems, back problems, all kind of thing. And,
yeah,
you're just going to wear your body away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you deserve it, really. It's inevitable, it's your own fault. You definitely felt like it's my own fault. So it was, you've got arthritis, and you just probably have to stop running. So then that's sort of the ball rolling with lots of different tests, x-rays, MRI scans, all that kind of thing, which confirmed there was some arthritis there. So I remember taking a break from running and then thinking, well, maybe it's not, because I didn't want to think that it was arthritis and it was going to get worse. Because at one point they said, because I remember them saying, actually, if the pain in your hips get worse over time, you probably end up having to have a hip replacement.
Oh, great.
So I was thinking, well, if I get back to running, I'm only going to make it worse, and I'm going to speed up that process of needing a hip replacement. So it was all a bit frightening. But at the same time, I thought running really is like the only thing that does it for me in terms of it's a mental release. I love it so much. It does so much for me. I thought, I can't imagine life without running. That's how sort of, healthily obsessed I am about it. So I thought,
that's good though. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was good. It turned out to be a good thing, because it made me, it led me to Dr Sarno in the end, because I was so reluctant to accept that I was physically broken, even though for a long, long time I did believe I was, because there was, from the hip pain, then there was before that was shoulder tendonitis. Forgot about that. So for almost a year I had left-hand side again, really awful pain in my shoulder, and I couldn't dress properly. Remember having to put on really loose vests and sort of put my right arm through first and drag it over the left, and sort of compensating by getting dressed in a funny way. But that didn't seem to hurt when I was running. But that lasted a good year. Yeah.
Okay. Then the hip. And was that was before the hip then, right?
That was before the hip, sorry, yeah. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Then got pain in the other hip. And then it really culminated in lower back pain. So that ended up being a really big thing for me. And that is where it will always go back to now. If I have some kind of flare up or relapse or whatever you want to call it, that is always the place it goes to my lower back.
Right.
And I think now sometimes I do wonder whether it's because I was more willing to believe there was a problem with my back than my hips, because the hips was going to stop me from the running, whereas the back wouldn't necessarily. I don't know, because possibly. It's almost as though I've accepted that as being the seat of my TMS is the back rather than anything else. But it was essentially shoulder, hip, back. I had some tingling in my little left toe, just a little toe.
Just the baby one.
Which is really weird, just a baby toe, yeah. And then I sometimes would get tingling in my hands. I could develop some wrist pain as well. I've had some tingling in my fingers. So this is sort of a jumping about here a bit, but it was over a 5-year period, I suppose. Well, till December 2019 when I discovered Dr. Sarno. But I was getting all sorts of physical problems, but nothing that wouldn't stop me. I was walking, but the back pain meant that in the morning I'd be sort of hunched over, which is why I found your article on the psoas muscle really interesting. And I was so
especially because you had the hip issues as well. Like that must have resonated quite deeply with you. Yeah,
definitely. So I would be getting out of bed like a little old lady, eventually sort of coming up to a standing position. I'd have to grab onto the sink to pull myself up to stand, and eventually over the course of the morning I would loosen up. And so I took a break from running whilst all this was going on, and I had all the tests going. I saw osteopaths, saw chiropractors.
Were you still in the UK at this point then? You weren't in France
No,
yet?
this is all in France. I've been in France since 2014. So this is all in France. Yeah. It probably would have been a different story.
Quite tricky as well to deal with a different sort of health system, was it? Was that? I mean, I don't know what it's like in France, a way, if it's anything comparison to Spain.
It's absolutely fantastic. The health service here is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, you mean amazing. You can have an X-ray or an MRI within. I mean, I think I remember waiting once was 2 days, and the longest I had to wait was 2 weeks. Whereas I know in the UK,
was that private or is that
quite a bit longer?
National?
No, just National Health Service. Yeah, it's just the
amazing.
Yeah, it's really quick. They're really quick. They're really efficient, and you actually walk away with your X-ray results and your MRIs, so you can obsess about it even further, which is just great. When you're a TMS personality, you're like, wow, look how broken I am. This is
you love it.
Really, I really am screwed
immediately. Yeah, lovely. In French as well.
Yeah. Well, that makes it more scary because, of course, all the diagnoses and all the little notes are all in French. And I'm like, I don't know what this means. My French is good, but I'm not quite sure what this means. But it sounds damn scary.
Yeah, it sounds like this is life or death.
It sounds like I'm broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start translating it all, and then you start thinking, right, what was it I've got? So, yeah, arthritis, a 9mm pelvic tilt, scoliosis. So I've got curving in some of my spine, then I've got flat back. I had to translate it, came out as flat back or no lordosis. I've got disc degeneration. I had disc degeneration in my neck. I've got convex left inflection in my spine. I've got stenosis in my spine, and I've got stenosis in my neck.
It's terrifying, isn't it, really?
It's absolutely terrifying, yeah. And then you're just thinking, well, it's only going to get worse. I'm in my mid-40s.
It's not going to cure itself, yeah.
It's not going to get any better. It's going to mean surgery at some point.
What did they say to you then? Not to sort of dwell on symptoms and stuff, but I'm quite interested to hear what, in comparison to like the spiel that the doctors gave to me, what did they suggest to you? Are they like really hot on surgery in France, or were they just kind of like, give you a load of drugs and away with you sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't know how hot on surgery they are compared to other countries, or whether it was just like my case they didn't feel required surgery. Yeah. But they seem to be less surgery driven and more drugs were suggested to me. In fact, I don't ever take any painkillers whatsoever, but for 1 week I was that desperate that my GP had given me a sort of combination of paracetamol and Nurofen type thing to take every couple of hours, and I thought, what the hell, I'll do it. And it said take it regularly every couple of hours for an entire week. And I thought, right, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to take it for the entire week, which is completely against my way of thinking. I don't like to take drugs at all. I don't want to mask the problem and then just at the time I thought cause myself more injury or become reliant on drugs. But I thought, you know what, I'm just at rock bottom here. I don't know what else to try. Everything else I tried haven't worked. You know, maybe that'll calm down the inflammation that might be there. Or didn't do a thing, didn't even touch that. Absolutely did nothing for me. So it was good in a way. It was an experiment. I thought, well, I've tried that. That didn't work. But they didn't suggest surgery. They suggested going to see a chiropractor or an osteopath. But that isn't refunded on the health service, on the health system here. And unless you take out private medical insurance, you can get 3 sessions for €50 reimbursed, and after that you're on your own. I mean, and once you believe that you're going to need a chiropractor or an osteopath 2-3 times a week,
scary in itself,
this is just not possible. There's just no budget for this.
For sure.
Yeah, which is a good thing in a way, because you think, well, then there's got to be an alternative, because I just can't afford to do this, and I can't get into debt over it.
When you don't know, though, that's just, you're stuck then, aren't you? They're not giving you any other solution, so that adds more fear to the fire, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, the sort of what they'd said was don't run, which like is a big no-no for me, and go and see a chiropractor or an osteopath. And also that well, which one? You know, tell me which one's going to be better.
Yeah, what's the actual problem here?
Yeah, you end up trying both.
Which thing on the list?
Yeah. And they're like, well, you're broken, but try and have all these adjustments. And so I went to see a chiropractor, and it'd be the exact same thing every time. He'd put me in a position, move me like that, something would crack, turn me on my side. Yeah. So he tried to shake the legs so they'd be the same length, and then he'd pull on them, and then he'd put one leg, and then he'd get me to some kind of spinal twist, and then just push on me.
Yeah, that crack. Little number.
And then I'd be thinking, it's to realign my pelvis. I'd be walking out here on air now, and you
feel high from it though, don't you? You get this you do get whatever the chemical going on that happens after the chiropractic adjustments. You do feel like, wow, I feel like really high. It's really nice, and the placebo effect, and they're helping me and whatever.
Yeah. You think, how much
doesn't last though,
placebo effect? No, it doesn't. And the only relief I got, the only relief I got, and this is the God's honest truth, is when I cried in front of the chiropractor.
Wow.
Because
that's massive.
None of his adjustments did anything for me. I believed that they would, and I sort of walked out thinking, I think I feel a difference. And then before I'd even got back to the car, I thought, no, who am I kidding? I'm in the same pain. That hasn't done anything for me.
Yeah.
But the one bit of real relief of symptoms was when I went in one time, and I think he'd been looking at more the mind-body approach. So Shemi didn't just do that for me, because it was very much about the chiropractic adjustments. But he said to me one time, Catherine, you look really tense. Your shoulders are up here. And he sort of said to me something along the lines of, what's going on in your life? What are you feeling?
Oh, Jesus.
And it was and it was like the floodgates opened. No one had ever actually asked me what was going on for me, how I was feeling. And I just started I thought, well, I don't know him well enough to really sort of just tell him everything about my life. But
once you've opened that well, then it's coming out, isn't it? Yeah.
And I was I thought, I was quite surprised at myself that the tears were streaming down my face, and I thought, gosh, I really am stressed. And it was that release in tension. That in that moment, everything went, all the pain went. And that was such a sort of turning point for me.
Amazing.
To make me think, well, maybe there's an emotional side to this. Yeah, maybe
for sure.
I'm not physically broken. Yeah.
So when you were seeing the chiropractor then, and you were saying that he might have had like a semi sort of mind-body approach, did you know about this stuff by that point? Had you discovered any of this sort of mind-body work at that time? Was this sort of a bit of a crossover for you, or how did that come about?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, because it's kind of relevant, because it was around about that time I'd heard the name Dr. Sarno on a podcast. And it was ladies talking about how she'd been healed of her back pain. And at this point, I'm pretty desperate. So I'm like, reading a book, I would have dismissed that.
Yeah.
You know,
same.
But at that point, I was like, I'll try anything now. So I started to look him up and learn a bit. And when I mentioned to the chiropractor, I said, have you heard of Dr. John Sarno? And he hadn't. Well, that was it then. Any placebo effect that he'd offered me, any belief I had in him that he was going to be able to help me was out the window, because I thought, well, if you don't know anything about him.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't
kind
it?
of the trust went. Then I just thought, well, I don't believe in you anymore, because this seems to be making sense. And also, he's been in the medical profession, and he should be someone that you know about. So do you know what I mean?
I mean,
it's
you'd think so, wouldn't you? Especially in that kind of, considering that the back pain is like one of the main things. You'd think that he'd be, even if they thought he was a joker, or they took the
some
piss
kind
out
of
of him or
charlatan, you
whatever.
might just be aware of him.
Yeah. So, can you remember the name of the podcast that you first heard about Sarno on? It doesn't matter, but just for
no,
reference.
actually, I know exactly who it was from. It was on an alcohol-free podcast.
Oh, okay, wicked.
When I was training because it's funny, you go all this pain, but actually that year, this was what, 2019? 2019, I was coming to the end of my journey. I was training for an ultra, and I decided to quit drinking wine during my training. And so I was trying to sort of listen to these podcasts to just keep the what's the word?
The motivation going.
Yeah, keep the motivation going and keep myself accountable a little bit. So for most of 1 year, I didn't touch a drop, and I do now. I do drink socially, and I do enjoy a drop of wine. But it was one of those podcasts that I heard. Annie Grace. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she's
the name rings a bell.
Books on. Yeah, she's big in this sort of alcohol-free community.
Okay.
I can't remember what. She's got a podcast, she's got a book out, but she'd suffered from back pain, and she was being interviewed on some sober podcast, and it was so it was completely unrelated.
Okay.
But
Annie Grace, did you say her name was?
Annie Grace.
Annie Grace. Yeah, I've heard of her. Yeah, I think I actually might be subscribed to that, or I've recommended it to someone. It does ring a bell. Anyway, sorry to divert. Go on.
No, that's okay. And she seems like a very credible person, and I thought, well, if she can be cured, then maybe I can too. And so I started to go down that rabbit hole of TMS, and then sort of the rest is history. And then you start looking back at everything else you've suffered, and you say, when did it begin?
I know, right?
And you realise actually it began a long time before then, and it began when I was a sort of a slightly nervous, anxious child, and I was having horrible stomach pains for like years, and they thought I had appendicitis, and I had really bad hay fever, and I had really bad eczema, and you think, okay, now I don't have all those things. So did I just grow out of that, or was that TMS? And it turns out that's exactly what it was. So it's fascinating, but the pieces didn't come together until sort of last year for me.
Amazing. Yeah, I started actually keeping a bit of a list on my phone when I started to remember, like, I had insomnia, I had bouts of really bad headaches growing up, I used to get loads of nosebleeds and all sorts of really random stuff that, just didn't have any rhyme or reason. I was diagnosed with, gluten intolerance for a while, and all that kind of stuff that just went away on its own. Like, so many different things that we don't even realise, do we? Why would we?
I had all these like patch tests done on my skin, because at one point I was head to toe covered in really bad eczema. I realised now it was just I had sort of fairly traumatic sort of childhood, and it was just coming out through my skin because I wasn't able to express it at that sort of young age. I was having patch tests done. I was allergic to all these chemicals, and I was told to avoid all these chemicals, and I was told to go dairy free and try all these sort of different diets to help. And that wasn't the root cause, but at the time, you don't know.
How are you going to know? How are you going to know? You're not going to think some guy in America with a book is going to be the reason for your childhood eczema. It doesn't make sense, does it?
Or I wouldn't have dismissed as well that it could be anything to do with what I was feeling emotionally.
Of course you would.
I wouldn't have put two and two together. And now,
absolutely,
of course, the more you know about it, the more you know that
the more it's obvious, isn't it?
Absolutely cannot separate the mind from body. It's absolutely obvious, and it's completely logical. It makes total scientific sense, not at all woo-woo.
Yeah, exactly.
It just makes perfect sense, and people need to know more about it. It's fascinating now, once you know about it and you sort of see the people around you suffering.
I know. You can't not see it, can you? I was
No,
saying this to someone else
so
a few
obvious.
weeks ago. Like you almost see someone's trauma before you see that actual person. When you know like about this stuff,
Yeah.
it's so obvious in so many different ways, and different tics and different obsessiveness and different just all sorts of different ways that you can kind of spot this stuff in people, can't you?
Oh, completely. And you still want to help them, but they've got to be ready. And I wasn't. If you'd come to me sort of 3 years ago suggesting this, I wouldn't have. I'd have poo-pooed it.
Yeah, for sure. So when you read the book, did you I get this a lot, did you kind of think that you were reading like an autobiography?
I heard you say that one time, and it just really made me laugh, because I thought,
it's so true, isn't it?
Exactly what it is.
How does
like,
this
hang
guy
on, no,
know
Dan,
me?
it was my autobiography, not yours. Get off.
Do you mind? He wrote about me.
It's all about me, no, definitely. I remember I was sort of reading through it, and I think it was Healing Back Pain was the first one, because I've read quite a few since. What I just wanted to devour all the information then. I was so hungry for it all. And I remember reading sort of lines to my husband and saying, listen to this.
Yeah, so did I.
Oh my God, that's so me. That's so mean. And he was like, politely tolerating me just sort of going through this book. Wait, I'm not. Just one more bit.
I know. I was exactly the same.
So much sense.
Literally every page. Like I started highlighting it and then gave up, because I was highlighting everything. It was just like this book is exactly what I've experienced, but in so much detail. And I still find it mind-boggling now that even the personality types, the experiences, all of the case studies that he talks about. Like there was an element in every one of those that was like, oh my God, that's me as well.
There's not one case you can't relate to. There's some cases that feel closer to your experience than others, but there's not one that you could say, oh no, can't relate to that. No, in every person you see something that you've got in common, don't you? Some kind of characteristics, some kind of personality trait, and you're like, God, it makes sense now.
I mean, what a genius. What an absolute legend. Sarno, Saint Sarno. So what did you do then after you kind of devoured the information? What sort of experience did you have? Did you have one of these miraculous like instant relief scenarios, or did you have to work quite hard at your recovery? What happened next?
No, I had to work quite hard, and I was really annoyed about that.
Everyone's a complete bastard that did the book cure. Doesn't exist. I hate them.
I did. I hated everybody who said I had a book cure. How dare you?
Yeah.
Why not me? It's not fair.
I know, right?
Not fair. Been through enough already, right? Why can't I have the book cure? Exactly. This sort of bit of I went through a bit of a victim mentality of why not me? Why do I have to take longer? Why do I have to work harder?
Exactly.
So no, it didn't work instantly. It made sense instantly, but that didn't mean the symptoms went instantly.
Right.
That meant I had to sort of go a bit deeper and think, okay, so my personality is contributing a lot to this, and so are my past experiences. So now it's time to sort of look back at those past experiences and sort of look at my story and change it, and maybe accept that even though people generally say, oh, Catherine, she's strong and she's resilient and she's positive and this. Maybe,
no wonder, is it?
Yeah. But maybe I have been maybe I have allowed myself to be a victim of these things a little bit. Maybe I have actually, I'm old enough now to stop enabling those past experiences to define who I am now.
Yes.
And to keep me in that sort of victimhood and still experiencing these symptoms. Maybe now I can be empowered to do something about this. And to look at what's happened before, and to look at it through a different lens and different perspective, and to have forgiveness for some things that happened, and to try to have some compassion for when these bad things happened, what was going on for that person, and they were doing their best in the moment, and just to really look at address what had gone on, and to see it all differently. And to move forward rather than sort of being stuck in the past, because I don't think you realize that you are until.
No, of course you don't.
Until you sort of think, well, but if I'm still experiencing all these physical symptoms, I'm still holding a lot in.
Certain things as well, like still triggered by either an experience or a person or a related experience. So what did you do then? What was the work for you?
So like you, I listened to I know you really like Nicole Sachs, and I listened to her podcasts, I think just about every single one of them, and devoured them. Eddie Lindenstein was like my favorite.
Love Eddie as well. He's brilliant.
He's absolutely brilliant.
I
just really sort of connected with his whole approach to it. So listening to podcasts, just sort of feeling like you're not on your own. It's a real thing. Lots of people are going through it. lots of people who are very similar to you. There's nothing strange about you. You just you're a good person who just hasn't really expressed how they feel about things. You're holding a lot in. There's a way out of this. So a lot of podcast listening, a lot of book reading, and then I don't do it really anymore, but journaling was good for me at the start.
Yeah, same.
Journaling sort of helped me to get some of the frustration or the anger or the upset out on paper, and to sort of separate myself from the thoughts a little bit, and then also to sort of reframe things, look at them from a different perspective, and just sort of to be able to let go of a few things as well. So
yeah, do you think that was really important in your own experience then too? Because I've struggled with that quite a lot. Like I know I can journal and I can talk and I can therapize, if that's a word, experiences and memories and all that kind of stuff. But how did you, like, what was your way of kind of, I guess, de-arming those triggers and those memories and those experiences for you to kind of remove that traumatic vibe from them? What did you do was that just a process of like over journaling about them, or how did you let that go? I know a lot of people struggle with this thing. I get this question quite a lot. Like, how do you deal with that?
And I suppose some of it's still there, and I suppose I still find myself in situations that can trigger me, but I just feel better armed now, like you're saying, and like I've got a toolbox to cope with it better, and I can sort of to question those sort of core beliefs that I had growing up. I can now question them and think, yeah, but is it true? And is it true that you're going to fail at this? And is it true that you're not good enough? And I'm sort of past that now. But they will still come up, but I just feel I've got a better way of handling it. One big sort of thing I did was when I did because I did a coaching course last year to become a holistic life coach and mind body practitioner, because I was really wanting to go and help other people, like you. You discover all this, and then you want to spread the word, and you just really want to help people. So I did this coaching course, and one really good exercise I found was to rewrite my story. And there was this table I had to follow with all these questions about what was one of the most traumatic experiences growing up, what happened, who did you blame for it, why did you blame them for it, what impact did it have on you? And it had all these questions, and it really made me think about what was, because there were a few things, but I sort of picked one or two big things. The death of my dad being one of them, and a poor relationship I had with my mum. And the poor relationship I had with my mum was sort of the biggest thing for me. And I sort of, I was able to look at it from her perspective. And it didn't mean to say what she'd done had been right, but it meant that I could look at it from what she'd done is what she could only do at the time, what she was only able to do at the time. And it's not how I would have dealt with the situation. I've got my own children, and it's not how I would treat them. It's not how I'd want them to feel. But she had her own things going on, and we've all got our own ways of dealing with things. We've all got different personalities. And it was just really trying to get into her head and understand why she'd done what she'd done. And that possibly, even though I'd felt there were only bad intentions and it was only punishing me and it wasn't fair, that some of it, maybe she'd done, it didn't come across as kind, but maybe it was out of some form of kindness, toughening me up for the world, pushing me too hard, but because she wanted me to succeed. It was sort of really looking
from
at that,
a place of protection or love, or in some way kindness.
It was always a kind of a funny way of showing love, but that deep down it came from a place of love. It was just an odd way of sort of showing it, but it really made me sort of able to reframe what had happened, and to feel that she did what she did, and I'm an adult now, and I choose how I live my life from now on, and how I treat my own children. And I've got the ability to create the life I want without being held back. So it was really investigating. I think I'd sort of put that to the side and just pushed it down, which is, I suppose, why all these physical symptoms came out in the end, because you just tough your way through it all. And I was thinking the other day that when we're younger, because a lot of these things happened to me sort of between the ages of 14 and 21. It's a really difficult age, but at that age you can go out, you can party, you can drink, you can do silly things, you can be a bit reckless. And you can sort of deal with it you can deal with it through those sort of, I don't know, releases at that time, but really it never goes away, does it? And it just builds and builds.
Absolutely not. No, that's just kind of numbing it, if anything, isn't it?
It is. It was, you've got ways of numbing it. And then there comes a point in your life where you don't, and that's when the physical symptoms come out, because you think, well, why didn't I have this physical pain when I was younger, when it was all happening?
Absolutely right.
I know.
It billows over the edge, doesn't it? Like Nicole says, that sort of analogy of all of your emotions are going into a big sort of pressure cooker.
Yeah.
And eventually, if you don't ladle any of it out, it just explodes in your back or your hips or your knees or whatever that is.
Exactly. You keep saying yes to things that you don't really want to say yes to. You keep saying yes to jobs and to relationships that deep down you don't really want to, but you're a people pleaser. You think it's what you should.
And you kind of know, don't you? Like now you've got that inner voice that you can hear, but you're so used to it, and that is just the way that you are. Always saying yes, always helping others, putting everyone else first, never even knowing what self-care is or knowing what self-acceptance is and compassion and all that kind of thing. That is just the way it is. Like you would never question that, but it does feel, now that you know how to feel and you know what kind of, not right and wrong is, but like how black and white these things can be, it just feels, it's so obvious when you go against your like authentic self or your inner knowing or your intuition.
Absolutely.
It's like it's a screaming voice.
You instinctively know, and often there will be sort of physical symptoms that come up. So when you really don't want to do something and you feel a knot in your stomach or something like that, or a bit of a headache coming on or something, and in the past you sort of thought, well, no, that's just a weakness in me. That's something I need to work on. That's just because I'm pathetic and they're better than me and I have to do this anyway to prove myself. Or, you start talking yourself out of it and you start talking yourself away from your authentic self to please other people. And then guess what? You get the symptoms. But once you know about this and you think, no, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me and being as I am, exactly as I am without changing.
1,000,000%.
You notice that instinctive gut reaction and you do something, you say, this time I'm saying no.
And didn't you find, I totally agree, it's such a good point. And didn't you find as well that like those feelings of like either the headache or the sort of rush you get, the heat rush or whatever that is for you, your sort of anxious build up, that is just the norm. Like that was so common for me to feel that way. I felt rushed and I felt I had to do everything really efficiently and really fast and really well and everyone else first and please everyone else. And just like, that was my baseline. You
didn't know any different almost. It's like
that
your basic operating structure.
Exactly. That's almost my safe zone. I've heard this said a few times before that like calm, joy feels unsafe. Calmness feels like something bad's going to happen, or
what's coming next?
I can't possibly rest. What do I need to do? What am I missing? Who's waiting on me? Because that's your normality. So I'm just going to reach over and grab my drink. I'm absolutely parched. Sorry, didn't want to leave.
No. You're so right. And I was experiencing the same. That was my norm. That was my normal. And so when you move away from that, there's almost something sort of scary in that, isn't there? And
the unknown.
What's the next thing? Because when everyone's experienced trauma to a certain degree, but when I sort of learned about adverse childhood experiences. And you sort of think, okay, there's a few of those things in the list that I can tick, and not that I want to be a victim, but maybe I'm justified in feeling the way I do, and it all makes sense what I've been through. But at the same time, you sort of think, well, I have been through that. I need to cut myself some slack. But when you have, and you start trying to do calming things and meditation and breathing exercise, or whatever it is that you're trying to do to calm your sort of central nervous system, there's still that. But what's happening next? Or what should I be doing now? Because you used to busy.
Yes.
And just putting a lid on it the whole time. And so
it's weird, isn't it?
To do different takes a bit of bravery almost in a way, doesn't it?
You've got to train yourself basically, haven't you? Like I refer to it sometimes as like you've got to train a new puppy, because you've got this frantic kind of unorganized, I mean, you think you're organised and you think you've got everything in, all your ducks in a row, but it's just utter chaos. I mean, for me, it was utter chaos.
Yeah, it's just spinning plates the whole time, isn't it? And something's going to crash, break. Yeah.
And never really ever resting properly or trusting yourself or even asking yourself. It wasn't even a case of even trust. It was just like I didn't have like the volume up at all on that voice. It was just like, yeah, isn't that weird? I think that's fascinating. I love all of this kind of subject, and I could talk about this for absolutely days on end.
Yeah,
I find it fascinating.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. But it's like you're prepared. You're quite prepared to listen to everybody else, but not to yourself. I mean, how
it's
wrong
bonkers,
is that?
Isn't it? Really, it's bonkers.
And I think that generally people that suffer from TMS are such goodists that there's almost that sense of, if I listen to myself, there's something really selfish in that.
Yeah.
And if I listen to myself, that means I'm neglecting others. It's not that at all. And
I'm probably wrong as well.
Listen, what are you listening to her for? She didn't know what she's talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, she's full of shit.
Where's the faith in ourselves? You know, it's crazy. We're prepared to put our faith and belief in other people before ourselves, and it's just so inherently wrong, isn't it? But when, like you say, you're doing it for years, it's just your norm, and so it's training yourself out of that. And but it's that is the way out, isn't it? I mean, there are many, like say, modalities and different ways that we all use at different things, and different things work better for different people. But listening to yourself, that was another thing that on this course taught me, is like, what are my core values? And when I looked at those core values, now I realized I'm not living my life according to those core values. I thought it's no wonder that there's conflict in my mind and in my body, and that there's tension in me, because I'm giving up on things that are important to me to please other people.
Yeah, just totally dismissing them.
Yeah. I'm making their needs so much more important.
That's amazing.
And it's shocking. And then, so one of the things that helped me was to know that actually I consider myself a good parent and a responsible parent, but there's a level of irresponsibility if I'm going to tell my kids that their needs come second to other people's. And if
massively,
if I'm behaving like that and doing everything for them and nothing for myself,
it shows them the wrong thing, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
So now I completely ignore them. Look.
They don't even live in France. Don't even know where they are.
We're in separate countries now. No,
and then your back pain went away. Woohoo.
Yeah.
So what then? You did journaling, and what, like, did you start to feel relief from the work that you were doing fairly quickly, or like was that a really gradual thing for you? How did that go in terms of your sort of symptom relief?
Do you know what? One of the quickest ways of getting rid of my back pain was to go for a run.
Amazing.
And which is brilliant, because that's when I started thought, this really is really.
I love this. Yeah.
It really isn't physical. It really isn't. And structural...
Oh, you must have been absolutely over the moon when you discovered that.
Oh, it was brilliant. I was like, if I want to feel better, sod the journaling, sod the meditation, I mean, that I enjoy all that as well.
Yeah.
But running is my number one.
Amazing.
So I got off a run, and I'd be maybe feeling a bit guilty about leaving the house. So for the first couple of minutes, I might be feeling a bit stiff, might have a bit of a niggle. And I'll be telling myself, you're going to be fine in a couple of minutes. Get over it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Once you get into your stride, once you feel that fresh air, it's going to go. And it would every time. And it was funny because for a while I'd go out and just complete freedom, get away from everything, listen to a podcast, listen to music, just listen to the birds. Fantastic. Just being by yourself. Totally de-stressing, love it. And then I'd come back in and I'd take my shoes off, my back, my back. And it was like, my back's gone. And you're like, you're joking.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I thought, and then I'd start to think, there is something wrong with my back. And I thought, don't be so daft. It's because you've come back into what you're perceiving might be a stressful situation. The kids have just had a row.
Normality.
Or the kid's got an exam tomorrow and they're stressing about it. Or you've got to cook dinner. You're just back to normality, back to normal stresses. Yeah. Now I've just got to choose how I deal with that. It doesn't need to bring on the back pain. Let's just step back. What am I taking on that I don't want to be taking on? Let's just look at this.
Let's get a takeaway and everyone just settle down.
Yeah. So what if we have a TV dinner? Everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Amazing.
So what if you fail your exam? You can resit it. Just do your best, and you just look at absolutely everything differently. But it was just made me laugh in the end, because I'd be like waiting for it. we bend down, take my shoes off, waiting for that back spasm.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, don't be so bloody stupid. Why the hell would you have a back spasm? You've just run 10 miles. You're absolutely fine. And you just give yourself a bit of a talking to. So
amazing.
So many things helped me, but giving myself a talking to sometimes, that was good. You're not broken, sort of positive affirmations.
Yeah.
Some of Dr. Sarno's, what does he call them? Daily affirmations.
Daily reminders.
Yeah, his daily reminders. Just sort of going through them, reminding myself I'm not broken. Visualization, just sort of visualizing a perfect spine, and I mean there are so many different things that you can do, aren't there? That was useful for a bit. I had this thing with forward folds in yoga. I was terrified of them because it reminded me of taking my shoes off, and I'd be like, I just knew that every time I forward folded, I'd have a back spasm. Yeah, so I'd be sort of doing this sort of kinky bit wiggle. By bit bend. I couldn't just fold forward like a swan or anything. So I would try tricks like I'd be watching the yoga instructor and I'd be like, I am the yoga instructor. Yeah. And I'd move down like that and they'd be like, oh, it didn't hurt.
Amazing.
So strange.
You're not thinking about when you're not thinking about, I still get this sometimes from time to time in class. Like my brain will know to fear doing cobra, for example, or back bend, whatever it is. Camel is like the ultimate nightmare. I still think about it now. And I'll probably get a backache in a minute now just thinking about camel. But it's just so ingrained, isn't it? Like that.
Oh yeah.
But
these conditioned responses that we have. These
exactly.
If I do this will happen.
That's just the norm, isn't it? When I changed up my classes that I go to, not teaching classes that I actually go as a student, and I went to this power yoga one once, and it was amazing. But I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be. And once it started, it was really intense and really like hot and it was brilliant. But I was so distracted by the fact that it was so difficult and challenging, and you had to be so focused, and it was a lot of sort of like hardcore breathing with it as well and stuff, that I did those things because I didn't have the slow kind of expectation of, oh, I know what this teacher teaches, and I know if we do that first, she's going to do cobra that after that, and then da-da-da-da. It was like, I had no idea, and it was fast, and it was vinyasa, and it was like hot, and I was just like focused, and I didn't have any of that at all. And Amazing. It was just like a massive revelation that that's just bullshit.
Yeah, I get you completely on that, because I try to mix up my yoga classes, because if I do the same one too many times, there's always one section in it where I'm like, oh no, I hate that bit, that really hurts, can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, Catherine, you can do anything. You're just telling yourself that movement hurts.
Just up here,
so your body's already tensing up. It's going to hurt, and so guess what? It will. But it is completely up there, and so I will just switch up my classes, or I will just sort of embody the yoga teacher for the moment and say, no, if I'm not broken and they're doing that, there's no reason why I can't do that. And it's amazing. It does work.
It does just
sometimes,
do it.
But other times when I allow myself to focus on it too much, I'll feel the pain and I'll tell myself off. I'll say, well, you concentrated on it too much. You've expected it too much. You anticipated it. You told your body it was going to have pain. And so it sent that pain signal to try to protect you from something it feels is dangerous for you. Yeah. It's so fascinating.
It really is. And really annoying.
And really, really annoying. Yeah.
So
but it's recognizing those triggers, isn't it? It's once you start to recognize those triggers and you're like, hey, here comes a situation where I might get my back pain back.
Massively. Awareness is just massive, isn't it? And that's a learning thing as well.
Is a huge thing. And that's why sort of reading Dr. Sarno's work and knowing about the TMS personality, how that can really help, because once you've got that self-awareness and you realize how much you bottle things up and how much you don't allow yourself to express your real feelings about something, how much you're repressing, that is such a big part of the sort of healing journey, isn't it? And that takes a while to address, because you've been behaving like that for years. You've been people pleasing.
For real, it might be a lifelong thing, but you might not be able to get to the holy grail thing where you can be like 100% authentic and just living like that. But for me, I got to a point where it was enough. I dealt with it enough that the pain went. You don't have to like rewrite your whole life for this to work. And I think that's important to mention as well. You don't have to necessarily dig up your whole past, address well, you do have to address things, but you don't have to resolve or solve your life work in order to be pain free. Like it doesn't
not
work
at
like
all. Not at all. Sometimes it's just acceptance of that happened. If I can look at it from a different perspective, great. If there's somebody I need to forgive, or even if I still want to feel some distress, upset towards that person, but I can just let it go a little bit. You know, it's not always going to be complete forgiveness, because just try to look at it differently, and just try to just think, well, but at the end of the day, that's their energy, it's not my energy. I will not let this define me, because actually I'm a pretty nice person and I deserve to be happy.
Yes,
you know, and it's about looking after yourself, a bit of self-compassion.
Definitely.
You too.
Yes, you do. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So then
So no, you don't have to. That's a good point, though. You don't have to go over your past history. You don't have to spill it all out on paper, day on, day off.
You don't have to.
You know, you don't have to journal
fix it.
Every single day. No, you don't have to fix it. You don't have to resolve everything. But if you can just sort of address it and accept it a little bit. But you know, because I don't want people. I've even talked about some of the things that I feel were a trigger to some of my symptoms, because, in a way, it's relevant, but it's irrelevant as well. Because it's happened. You can't turn back the clock. It's what you do with that understanding of it now, isn't it? Live your life.
Yeah, exactly. The connection's starting to go a little bit doolally again.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
So
but I think I interrupted you there, love. Sorry about you.
No, it's fine. That's fine. I was just going to say, like, was it just a process then? It was like a gradual process of this kind of working its way out for you, and you then got progressively better, or did you have any point where you kind of like you found a specific milestone that something really radically changed for you, or was it just literally a process and a matter of time?
It was definitely a process and a matter of time. It was learning everything about TMS. It was a big thing was acceptance and belief that that's what it was, that wasn't broken. That took some time, because there's still that, but I've seen the x-rays, I've seen the words, that it, you know, and when you get it coming from someone who you consider to be highly qualified in their fields, then you believe what they say, don't you? So it's
of course.
hard to move away. So that took some time. And then just sort of trying everything that I just read everything that everyone else was doing, whether it be journaling, meditation, positive affirmations,
mixed it up a bit,
breathing techniques, just mixing it up, seeing what works. And some days one thing will work, some days another thing will work. And what's consistently works for me is exercise. Definitely. Always movement. Love it, because it's just such a stress buster for me. And it just gives me that evidence that every time I go for a run and it doesn't hurt, then you're fine. Even if I get a nibble later in the day, you think, but you're fine, aren't you, because you ran this morning? So
and I think the way that the type of exercise that you do is quite like advanced athlete style shit. Let's not mince around. It's not like, just go and do a bit of keep fit with some cans of beans, you know, like you're doing stuff that I think you probably get like a really massive feeling of self like worth and achievement, and it's big stuff, you know. It's not easy. So that's probably beneficial to you as well. That it is
I like it. Athlete, thank you.
Olympian. Let's go with Olympian.
not quite. I'm just what some people call driven. I started off running like everybody else does, couch to 5K, and I think you either get the bug for running or you don't. And I did.
Exactly.
And then 5K became 10, and then 10K became half marathons. And then it was doing half marathons, but doing them faster and faster. Then it was like, I'm bored of doing the faster bit. Let's try a bit longer. I feel like I can maybe do a marathon. And it just creeps up on you. And it's not everyone's cup of tea. It could be running, cycling, swimming, dancing, yoga. It don't matter what it is, does it? It's finding
something for everybody.
Yeah. And I used to work as a personal trainer. So I was always advocating. I was always advocating. Find something you enjoy, because people will be like, I really, really want to enjoy running. And I'm like, you don't have to enjoy running.
No.
In fact, when I first started, I hated it. I was effing and blinding, stopping at every lamppost. Bloody hate running. Why would anybody enjoy this? I loathed it.
I bet you did.
I'd said I'd raise some money for cancer research. So being quite a driven person and not wanting to let people down, a bit of people
pleasing. Yeah.
I thought, well, I've got to do it now. I said I'm going to do it.
Amazing.
And then, I got the bug.
Then you got the bug.
And then I did a 50K last year. So it all sounds impressive, but you build up these things over time, and it,
sure.
wasn't breaking
That's
any
amazing.
records.
Yeah, don't put it down though. Celebrate it. You've changed now.
I'm
You're
a
a
hero.
changed woman. You're a hero. You're an Olympian.
It
TMS
does
Olympian.
feel good though. It feels good to be powerful and to be strong. It feels good to know that, if I need to run for a bus, I'll catch it. It'll be all right.
Definitely. You can run for a bus that's down my road at that rate. Oh my God. That's amazing. Yeah, I think you're right. I think for anybody, I mean, I'm obsessed with yoga and I got into it in the same sort of way. It started to make you feel really good and you can't really explain why. And you might know the science of it now, but like whatever that is for whoever's watching this, even if you feel like at the moment you're completely immobile, you might just find that going for a walk around the park is fun, or think about what sort of stuff you used to enjoy as a kid. Like maybe it is dancing, maybe it's football, maybe it's, it is tricky when you're, a bit screwed with TMS where you can't really do a lot, but having a bit of a goal in mind and having something to work towards that is going to give you that feel good factor on top of the fact that movement is medicine as well. Like that was massive for me and massive for you. I think that's really important. Fucking internet's going again. So annoying. Sorry about the
definitely. And those goals that we have, they've got to be smart. They've got to be smart.
Definitely. Right, this internet is doing my head in. Can you hear me?
It's all right, can't be helped. Seems okay on my end. Shall I keep talking? I was going to say,
how annoying. I can always edit this out anyway. Yeah, I can always edit this out, but I can't actually see you moving now. Anyway, let's wrap up a little bit then. And if I need to edit some of that out, I will do, no problem. So where did that, is that kind of brought us up to date to sort of present day, or was there anything else that you kind of did or found out I know you were doing your training for your coaching and stuff in the meantime, but did you just get progressively better until the point where now it just doesn't rule your life anymore?
Yeah, the shoulder pain, the hip pain, the weird nerve tingling, all of that completely gone. That hip pain went on forever, and so did the shoulder pain. I thought I was never going to get rid of it. I never have it, even a twinge in my hip now. It's amazing. Incredible. Yeah, it's all gone. The only thing I get occasionally is the back pain. And I still sometimes think, is it because I still see my spine is starting to twisted? I need to work on that sort of visual of you find you're not broken, or everything you have it's a normal abnormality, as Dr Sarno would say. Look at Nicole Sachs. She's got spondylolisthesis. She's functioning perfectly well. She's jumping on the beach, she's climbing trees, she's had children, all these things that he was told were not open to her at all. So so what, I've got a slightly crooked spine. I walked around on that spine for the past 47 years. It's only until recently that I've had a bit of pain. It's not. And
you run 50 miles. If it was broken, you would not be able to do that. Simple as that.
Exactly. So I sometimes need to remind myself of that I'm not broken in just the back area. It will occasionally, I think, if I'm feeling really uptight about things, I'm not giving myself enough downtime, not looking after myself, I'll feel it a bit in the back, but it's good. It's sort of like my report card, my school report card, and it's telling me, hey, you're not listening to your own needs. You're not looking. Yeah, it's a good little reminder that there's not enough self-care going on, and that there is always, like you put in a recent post, make time for yourself. Everybody's got 5 or 10 minutes at least they can give themselves each day to whatever that is, whether it's colouring in, meditating, going for a walk, doing a few star jumps, dancing to one song, whatever it is. Whatever self-care means to you, it's important to find that. And if I don't have that, it comes back a little bit, but otherwise I'm fine, and I'm well and feeling great.
Amazing. And finding your real self as well, like what a revelation.
Oh no, and it turns out she's not bad as well.
She's ace. Like her. We like Catherine. We love her. She's wicked.
We love you too as well. You're just doing brilliant work. Yeah, you're awesome. Keep it up. You're doing great.
Thanks,
you make sure you take. I keep saying this to you. To make sure you make time for yourself as well.
I do. I'm becoming an Olympian at that myself.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Brilliant. I think we've covered most of the story stuff. Is there anything that you would recommend to people as like nuggets of wisdom, advice to people kind of listening You've covered loads of this sort of pieces of advice already, but is there anything else that you can think of that you had in mind to maybe mention that could help people, whatever that is? Any little nuggets of wisdom you want to add in before we close the convo?
I suppose I could go with some of the things that maybe I not didn't do so well at or failed at, but some of the things that in hindsight I would have avoided doing, and that was obsessing and buying every single book. So I've got some of them behind me. Every single book that was TMS related. I haven't had time to read them all anyway. And they're singing the same message, a lot of them as well. It just takes one book and one moment of realization that you're not broken and it's not a physical problem. Don't feel like you've got to read all the books. Stay away from some of them. There's some fantastic support groups out there, but I would be a little bit wary of some of the Facebook pages, groups on chronic pain. I just think there's a danger, and it depends on your personality. But for some, I have to skip a lot of these groups because I just find them a little bit triggering. I just feel that there are some people who haven't quite made that leap of faith to I'm not broken, and there's still a part of them that find it really hard to believe that there's not something physically wrong with them. And I think if you've got to be careful not to spend too much time on these groups, because it just makes you question your own healing as well.
It can become a bit of an obsession, can't it? The symptom obsession, the learning obsession, and that goes with the personality trait as well, doesn't it? Having to get everything right and making sure you've checked with every doctor and had a fifth and sixth opinion, and but what about this and but what about that? It is you can become a bit of a student of it.
Oh, totally. And there's so many people saying, what did you do to get better? And every time I hear that, I think, or I see it, I think, but it's such an individual journey. Educate yourself on what does help some people. And for some people, they're still journaling every day, years later. For me, I do that, I don't know, once a month now, probably. I don't do it every day because there are things that help me.
When it works for you.
Yeah, I know when I need to. I know when I think I need to write this out rather than just scream at the kids or something. I'll just write it I type it on a Word document and then delete. There are times when that's going to work, and there are times when going for a run's going to help, or having a piece of cake. I mean, just finding something that just
pleasurable,
that's fun, pleasurable, relaxing, looking after yourself. But it's so individual, and don't be caught up in following somebody else's path and journey, and because you're just gonna fall flat on your face, aren't you? Just gonna feel like a failure because it didn't work for you. It's like the same thing of why wasn't I a book cure? Not everyone's gonna be. And in fact, I sort of question that. I think those people who were a book cure, they never really dealt with the underlying issue of what got them there in the first place. What was it?
I think there's different levels of this as well. Like, certain people have, and I guess maybe it's something to do with the childhood adverse, experiences stuff, or, how much of your past experiences you've repressed, or, is it just like my partner, for example, Steve, he's had knee pain forever. His dad's had knee pain. His dad's had 2 knee replacements. So he had it in his mind that he would just be like his dad. He's got the same legs as his dad, who would end up having to have his knees replaced. So that was his, well, my knees are broken thing. When I started learning about TMS and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, he's not the same personality as me at all. It's quite polar opposites, in fact. That's probably why we balance each other out. He's calm, just grounded, nothing phases him. He's never stressed. It's just amazing. And I'm this frantic, chaotic spinning wheel.
I have that as well with my husband.
But he feared that part of his body, and he feared that was going to be the outcome for him and his physical issue. And when he started to look at it in a different light, that basically, long story short, that went away from him for him, like pretty much overnight.
It's like you develop a health anxiety, don't you, based on, it's like my mum had osteoporosis, and for a while I thought I was going to get osteoporosis, and when I got back pain I thought, oh, that'll be the start of the osteoporosis I'm destined to have. Question that, and you think, why? I am not her. He is not his dad. It's not inevitable.
It's not. But look at the difference in the personality. So that's what I mean in terms of like why some people can get over something really quickly if they haven't got a load of shit to maybe unravel, or a personality trait that's going to keep them obsessing over something or fearing something, or he's like, oh shit, I don't need to be scared about that, boom, gone. So I think there's definitely different. I know, he's rubbish. not marrying him or anything. He's amazing.
No, good for him. But it's a good point that we each come to this understanding in our own time, and it's going to take. It might take one person 1 week. It might take person 1 year. It might take. Some people have not. Some people have taken decades.
Exactly.
To get well, and it's so individual.
Yeah, but, he just got it, believed it, and boom, it was gone. Yeah, it's like I was, even though I read the book and it was my autobiography, it still took me 2 years to find Nicole's work and actually like put this stuff into practice. So I probably obsessed and victimized and freaked out and got into a depressive hole over those 2 years. Whereas he went, all right, is that wrong with it? Okay, crack on. We'll go running then. Difference of personality.
Yeah, definitely. Hilarious. Definitely, mine was definitely much more your journey. Yeah,
we got
there.
Sure.
We got there.
Yeah, we did.
I know, and in some ways, we learned so much more. We got so much more knowledge to impart now. So.
Yeah, exactly. And now look.
And now look at us.
Oh no, amazing. Yeah. So. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add or anything else that you wanted to say about your story, or I may have forgotten like loads of questions that I wanted to ask you. I didn't have any prep or anything. I just wanted to see the conversation would just go. Yeah. I know that you'd have just been great at just having a chat anyway, so I didn't want to necessarily prepare for it. So is there anything else that you want to add, or anything else that you want to add about what you're working on now? Or I know you were working a little bit with SERPA, weren't you, and maybe trying to get some messaging into the NHS about mind body stuff and things like that. So is that's kind of still on your radar, the mind body world?
Yes, still definitely on the radar. Still really wanting to share that message, get the knowledge out there. GPs, it's like teachers have got enough on their plates without adding on to their curriculum. It's a bit the same with GPs. They don't have the time, the resources to do a load of training nutrition. They don't necessarily have the time nor the bandwidth to take on all this mind body approach to looking at pain as well. And for many of them, I don't want to be critical of GPs, but for many of them, they've got so much on their plates as it is that they just don't know how to deal with pain, these medically unexplained symptoms, and that's why I suppose things like pain clinics exist. So I would like to get involved with the likes of Georgie Oldfield at SERPA, so the Stress Induced Recovery Practitioners Association. I think I've got that right. She's doing amazing work, and along with 2 other people, we've been looking at setting up a charity, but actually there's a whole host of paperwork involved in doing that.
Yeah, I can imagine that's really hard to do.
And at the end of the day, it's not the bureaucracy we want. Don't be wading through these huge sort of pools of bureaucracy to the main thing is sort of setting up something. And I think that my 2 sort of colleagues, they went off, they were going to become trustees of a charity. As far as I know, they're in the process of setting up a website. So as soon as I hear anything about that, I'll share it with you. But they're very much as well in the mindset that we need to get the message out there, and if we can get, I know that SERPA's got its own leaflet now, which we're trying to get around into. I'm not in the UK at the moment, but if I was, I would be going into my local GP and saying, look, can you just at least put this in the waiting room for people to read, just to put that seed there of could any of my symptoms be as a result of stress in whatever form that takes in my life, whether it's past stress, current stress. Just to put that sort of thought into the head, just to contemplate, maybe I don't need surgery, maybe I don't need drugs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think that's coming. And also, I think that the NHS are looking at things differently as well. I think they're taking more of a holistic approach now.
It feels that way, doesn't it? It feels like it's kind of coming to a bit of a tipping point where it feels, and it might just be because we're kind of in this world, but it does feel like it's becoming a lot more well known, and there is sort of talk of it, at least. In different places now.
Sort of nice guidelines, and a lot of I'm hoping to work in the NHS quite soon as sort of offering therapy, and within that sort of service, not only are they looking at depression and anxiety, but they're looking at how that relates to employment problems, and they're looking at how that is linked to long-term health conditions and also medically unexplained symptoms. So it's really exciting to see that's coming.
That's cool.
That is coming into the NHS now, and they're looking at it from a whole body approach.
Amazing.
And they're linking the 2. Yeah, so exciting things are coming, I think.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Yeah, well, maybe it's really encouraging.
Maybe we should catch up again in a few months' time, or
Yeah, that'd be
whenever,
great.
if
Yeah.
things start to progress or change for you, or you find a different avenue for your own stuff, or you carry on the coaching, whatever happens, let's catch up again and just see, if there's more information to share, then we can do a follow-up.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Yeah, because I'll still want to work with this in whatever form it takes, whether it's coaching, whether it's trained to become a therapist. It's just become so important. It's life-changing, and I just want to
Massively.
share it. So
Amazing.
yeah, let's have a follow-up. That'd be great. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been great
No,
to chat
I'm
to
glad you
you.
agreed to do it. I'm glad you agreed to do it, because I know that you're a bit sort of like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm glad
I'm
you
a bit
did.
shy. I'm a bit shy.
Yeah, I know, we're all a bit shy.
Yeah.
I think it's different gravy when you've got your face on something as well, isn't it?
Yeah. But I got over it. I thought, no, I want, if this just helps one person.
Exactly.
Because everything I've done so far, there's always been someone that's come to me and said, your story resonated with me. Your symptoms were similar to what I've been experiencing, and to know that you're better now, or that even if it comes back, you've got ways of dealing with it, and it will last for long. It just encouraged me to know that it can happen for me too, and that's what it's about. And I know that's why you're doing it as well. It's putting yourself out there, as uncomfortable as it feels sometimes, because
it does. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, and I think that's always changed my perspective of being nervous about being seen or saying something or being on video or whatever the stress is. It's not about me. Like, who gives a shit about that? Like, this message is going to help somebody, and putting that perspective into, this isn't for me, it's for someone else. Totally, like, just banishes that stress and that nerves really out the window, doesn't it? It's
absolutely
like pointless thinking about that. This is going to help someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, Catherine. It's been brilliant talking to you. And exciting stuff coming up for you. Let's keep in touch. And I will share this on the website. Maybe even this weekend, actually. I'll let you know before I do it if you want to see it before I put it live.
I don't know. No, sometimes I look, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's too cringy.
Just do it.
Sound of my voice. Yeah. No, just go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Hope this helps somebody.
Thanks,
you take
Catherine.
care.
Lovely to see you.
Darling. Yeah, you
take
too.
Care. Bye, babe. Oh, she's so lovely. I always find that my accent starts to go really northern England when I speak to her as well, because she's from Yorkshire. I used to live in that kind of area. Anyway, that was a brilliant conversation. Catherine is another like mega expert in all of this stuff. I absolutely love her energy and just how much movement has been an important part of her journey as well, as it has mine. I hope you got something from this conversation and you enjoyed it. If you want to get involved and submit your story, even if you're not fully recovered, even if you're just kind of reaching certain milestones that are important and you feel like are worth sharing with other people, you can go to mytmsjourney.com/stories and submit your story there. All of the other interviews are there too. They are also uploaded to my YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe there, you can do that. And I'll post this, and then we can carry on the conversation about Catherine and about her story on either on social media or on YouTube or on the website. So just jump on, ask any questions that you want. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I'm always available on social as well to interact. And that's everything that I need to say. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.